All right, welcome to creating a inspiration board in Pixlr. So what we're going to do is first thing is we're going to pick a theme. So if my theme is hockey, I'm going to search for images that have things that are related to hockey, and I'm just looking for photographs. So specifically, if I am just kind of scrolling through here and trying to find images that um, are like hockey stick. I'm going to then find what I want, and I am going to actually download that to my computer. So I go over here, I right click, save image, and I can save it either into my downloads folder here or in my Google Drive, which is here. I'm going to actually just put it right here in my eighth grade art folder so that it's a little bit easier to find later. And inside this eighth grade art folder, I'm just going to add a new folder and I'm going to call this creation. I'm going to rename the file hockey stick and save that into my drive. If I'm looking for something specific, like my favorite goaltender, I would want to look for a picture of him in action. I can right click that and save him into that same drive. So I'm going to find a bunch of images that I want to use for the inspiration of my drawing. Once I have all the things that I want in there, then I am going to go on to the next step. I'm going to then go into Pixlr. So I go to my launch pad and choose Pixlr, and I'm going to open Pixlr X, scroll down here to create new, and I'm going to click this slider on to add a background and choose white as my background. And I'm actually going to go to red just so that I can show you what we're doing to the background. So we're going to click create, and that's going to create this big, large rectangle. Once I've created that rectangle, I'm going to import those images. So on the far left, I'm going to click add image, click on browse, and I'm going to go find my eighth grade art folder and that creation folder. And I am going to select an image, double click on it to open it, and that's going to drop it into my inspiration board. I'm going to do that for each image, going back to browse, dropping the image into the inspiration board, add image, browse, drop that image into the inspiration board. That one is quite large, so I'm just going to resize it so it's a little bit smaller, and set this off to the side. And go to browse again and grab my hockey stick, resize that a little bit. And last but not least, go grab the puck and drop that in here. That one's quite large also. When you do an image search, you can prevent some of these bigger images from filling this in if you choose an actual size before you do your search. And that is under tools when you do an image search. So the next thing you're going to do is we're going to go around to each layer and we're going to get rid of the background. So to rid of a background, I'm going to go to the far right. This is my layers bar, and it shows me all the layers that I've created. You'll see that every time I have added a photo, it is added a different layer. So I'm going to go to the Stanley Cup photo first, and I'm going to resize this so that it's filling in this space. And I'm going to come over here to the icon. These are all the tools that I use in Pixlr. I'm going to choose cutout, and I'm going to choose magic cutout. And I want to make sure that magic cutout says remove, and that I have the layer that the Stanley Cup is on highlighted. So what magic cutout is going to do is going to, once I click on these white pixels, when I click on it, it's going to get rid of any pixels that are the same value. So you've seen that all the white has disappeared. I'm going to do that for each one of these layers that has a white background. So I'm going to click on the layer that has the puck, click in the background, and you can see down here on the puck, there's a little bit more white, so I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to go down to the hockey stick, and I'm going to click on that, and that is going to disappear also. Now, what I'm going to do is I am going to get rid of background for some of these other items, but you may see that as I zoom in here, it's going to be a little harder to get rid of some of this white because of the net in the background, which can be kind of tricky. So instead of using magic cutout, I'm going to use a draw cutout. And a draw cutout, when it says remove, is when I left click and I drag my mouse on the layer that I'm on, I will see this red kind of highlight here. So anything that's in red now that I'm drawing on top of this image is going to disappear when I let go of the mouse. Okay. And what we're seeing here is we're seeing that red background. One way that I can make it a little bit more crisp and less blurry is to go down here to softness and slide my softness all the way to the left, and I'll get a nice solid red. And I like to do this along areas where something has a similar value, like the ice in the background is going to be a little bit harder to get rid of just because they are similar in the value. So I'm just going to go around and kind of clean these up and get rid of all the ice in the background. So I like to do the brush remove in steps, in stages. So I will eliminate a bunch here and then let go. Eliminate a bunch here and let go. Another way that you can get rid of large areas is to use the shape cutout. So if I go to cutout and choose shape instead, when I drag a shape, that's going to keep it. If I go to remove, I can drag the shape so that it's filling in that area, and anything inside the shape is going to be erased. Now, up here in the top right corner is a zoom in, zoom out feature. So when you click the plus, it is going to zoom in on different parts, which is helpful. But sometimes I can't see where I want to be going. So I can do one of two things. I can either go up in here to the navigate bar, and there is a small square up here that helps you navigate to that spot. Or I like to actually just hold down the space bar and move it with the hand. So when I hold the space bar down, the hand will appear to replace that. So I'm just going to go along the edge and get rid of all these little spare pixels along here, just so that's not in there anymore. I can do the same thing for my Eddie Belfour over here. So I got to make sure that before I start working on it, I highlight the layer that he is on, so that I can go around and eliminate anything around him that could be potentially a problem when I start to go eliminate the background. Again, for this one, I'm using the brush remove tool. And this is helpful if you need to go really up close and look at real up and close at look where some of these pixels are to get rid of some of those details. When you increase the size or you blow it up to 377%, like I just did, you also want to adjust the size of your brush. You want it to be relative to the size that you're trying to edit. So you want to turn it down a little bit as you go. And you just want to get as close as you can to some of these things. It's not really that important that we leave some of these pixels behind, but it'll just help you with your drawing ultimately when you start to add all your details into the creation drawing. And all I'm doing here is I'm holding down the left click as I move the mouse. That is going to eliminate those things. I'm going to get a really small brush to get down in here so that these little details in here I can get inside and eliminate all this stuff in here without taking anything out that's unnecessary. So I'm going to do that for all of these characters or all these parts that are going to go into my drawing just so I can simplify this. If you ever make a mistake, you can undo and it'll take a step back. This is why you want to do large things in chunks so that you don't have to go back too far to undo something if you make a mistake. All right, then I'm going to zoom out, and there I have it. I have the things that I want to put into my drawing there so that I can help draw those things in my background. Now, in the very background, if I go here to my draw tool and choose shape and choose a color to do, I can draw a square in the background, which will help me kind of see all the background pieces a little bit better than the red. The red can be kind of glaring sometimes. So if you want to just add a white rectangle in here, which is easier to see, that's a good way to do that. So just taking the shape tool here and covering up all that red. Now, the Arrange and Style tool, which is up here, that's the very top one, right underneath the toggle home button. When I click on any of these layers, you'll see the little anchors will show up. So what I can do is I can actually resize some of these things, and you want to resize them thinking about where you're going to be placing them in your composition. Remember that larger objects are going to appear closer. So if I stretch this out, so it's very large, that is going to be something that would appear in the front. Um, if you shrink things down, that's going to appear further in the background. And you can see as I'm positioning things here with the goal and the puck here, these things are going to be overlapping each other, and I can put them in front of each other. So I'm going to grab this puck and I'm going to slide this up so that it's above the net. So see what happens here is now it looks like it's in front of that thing. So if I would want the goalie here in front of the net, what I'd want to do is find the layer that he's on, which is here, and I want to slide it up so that it's on top of the net and not underneath it. So I can just kind of play around with the inspiration board and just resize things and place them in different places so that I am just getting an idea of some things that I may want to put in the background. I can also rotate this puck by going up here to the top handle. My hand is going to show up here where that little dot is, and once I left click and drag it, you'll see it will rotate it around that center axis. So if I want this to be kind of turned to the side, I can do that. And I can move this stick all the way up here to the top so that it appears above all these other things. You can also come down here to the arrows, and when you click on the arrows individually, those will bring the layers up higher so they'll be on different levels. The stick here I could actually make very big, have that appear up here in the front. And I can also duplicate that thing. So if I want this to be kind of rotated this way, and I want to use more than one, I can right click on it and click duplicate layer. That's going to add one other on it, and I can put another one over here and rotate it again so it's in a different position and place it somewhere else in the composition. Once you're completely done with the inspiration board, you're going to click down here to save. You want to go to the file name, and you're going to name that your first and last name. And you're going to call it IB for inspiration board. And I'm going to put the theme here before I name it. I'm going to save it as a PXZ. A PXZ is going to save your progress in Pixlr. If you don't save it or you don't do this step and you save it as any other of these files, it is going to flatten and you're going to lose all of the layers that you've done over here. So you want to make sure you download the PXZ first. And when it has downloaded, you will close this window up. And then you'll want to go here and save it a second time as a JPEG. I'm going to name it the same thing. There's no confusion. Mr. Bernhold, IB, whoops, IB hockey. There it is. Going to Drop that up, and I save this a second time as a JPEG. So I'm going to click download, and that is going to download it to my computer.